Have you ever wondered what it really takes to survive in the wild? What if I told you that some of the most dangerous hunters don't hunt alone? They form alliances. And what would you do if your very first moments in life were a fight for survival? Welcome to Echoes of the Wild, where every story is a glimpse into the raw, untamed truth of nature. If you want to experience the wild like never before, make sure you stay till the end and subscribe for more. Out in the vast blue ocean, danger doesn't always come from a single direction. Beneath the surface, something unusual is happening. Sea snakes, highly venomous and incredibly patient, are on the move. On their own, they are slow hunters. But today they are not alone. Fish move alongside them, stirring the reef, flushing out hidden prey from tight spaces. The moment a frightened fish tries to escape, it runs straight into the waiting jaws of another predator. It's not chaos, it's coordination. A silent agreement between different species, each benefiting from the other. In this world, survival is smarter than strength. But the wild is not just about cooperation. Sometimes it's about pure instinct and timing. On a remote island, a newborn creature takes its first breath. It hasn't learned to run yet, but it has to, because nearby predators are already watching. Snakes, guided not by movement alone, are ready to strike. Every step matters. Every pause could be the difference between life and death. And somehow, against all odds, a few survive. Not because they are stronger, but because they were just careful enough. Far away, in the freezing north, another battle unfolds. A pack moves together with purpose. Wolves, focused, strategic, and patient. Their target is massive, powerful, and not easy to bring down. A herd stands strong, protecting its own. For the wolves, this is not just a hunt. It's survival for the entire pack. They circle, they test, they wait for weakness. Because in the wild, one mistake can cost everything. Finally, the moment comes. A single opportunity, and they take it. Nature doesn't reward hesitation. It rewards precision. Above the ocean, another drama unfolds. Fish leap into the air, trying to escape predators below. For a brief moment, they seem free. But the sky is not safe either. Birds are waiting, watching, timing their strike perfectly. Below or above, there is no easy escape. This is the reality of the wild. Every move is a risk. Every second is a decision. Deep in the forest, tiny creatures begin life in the most vulnerable way. Dozens are born, but only a few will survive. Not because they are the best, but because they are the luckiest. Even their own kind can turn against them. In a world like this, trust is rare, and survival is everything. And then there are hunters who rely on patience above all else. Silent, calculated, waiting for the perfect moment. One successful hunt can mean days of survival. One failure could mean the end. This is not just nature. This is strategy, instinct, and evolution working together. If there's one thing the wild teaches us, it's this. Survival isn't about being the strongest. It's about adapting, observing, and knowing exactly when to act. If you felt the intensity of the wild in this story, make sure you subscribe to Echoes of the Wild and stay with us for more untold stories from nature. But wait, there is more. So much more beneath the surface, beyond the tree line and above the clouds. Because the wild does not stop. It never pauses. It never apologizes. And it certainly never asks for permission. Let us go deeper into the ocean first. Not the sunlit reefs where sea snakes glide with their fish companions, but further down. Into the twilight zone, where light barely reaches and pressure would crush a human in seconds. Here, in the eternal blue-gray silence, another kind of alliance forms. It is not between fish and reptiles, but between creatures so small you could fit 1,000 on a single fingertip. Jellyfish drift like alien spacecraft, their tentacles trailing behind them like ghostly ribbons. And riding those tentacles, unharmed and utterly fearless, are tiny fish no longer than your smallest finger. They have built immunity to the venom that would kill anything else. In exchange for protection, they lure larger prey closer to the jellyfish. The tentacles do the rest, a partnership written in poison and trust. Neither could hunt alone with such efficiency. Together, they are almost unstoppable. Now consider the mangrove forests, where salt water meets land in a tangled maze of roots that rise from the mud like the fingers of buried giants. In these brackish waters, a different kind of hunter waits. The mudskipper, a fish that has learned to walk on land. It drags itself across exposed roots and damp soil, eyes bulging, watching for insects and smaller crustaceans. But it cannot stay on land forever. It must return to the water to keep its gills moist. And in that moment of return, when it splashes back into the murky shallows, the crocodile strikes. Not with speed alone, but with patience that would shame a statue. The crocodile has been watching that same mudskipper for hours, maybe days. It knows every path the fish takes, every rock it pauses on, every shallow pool where it rests. And when the moment is exactly right, the jaws open and the water explodes. Survival is not always about the hunt. Sometimes it is about the escape. In the grasslands of Africa, a newborn wildebeest stands on trembling legs. It is barely 10 minutes old. The umbilical cord is still damp, but the herd is already moving. Not because they are cruel, but because the lions are never far away. The mother nudges her calf forward with her nose, low and urgent sounds rumbling from her throat. The calf stumbles, falls, gets up again. A hyena calls in the distance, and the sound cuts through the air like a blade. The calf does not understand what that sound means. Not really. But something ancient and buried tells it to run. And so it does. Not because it is strong, not because it is fast, but because it has no other choice. The lions are not born knowing how to hunt either. Watch a pride of lion cubs tumbling over each other in the long grass. They bite each other's ears and swat at flicking tails. It looks like play because it is play, but it is also practice. The tiny stalk, the hidden crouch, the sudden pounce. These games are the foundations of everything they will one day need to bring down a buffalo 4 times their size. One cub, the smallest of the litter, hesitates too long before pouncing on its sibling. It stumbles. The others roll over it without a second glance. That hesitation, that lack of confidence, may not matter today. But in 2 years, when that same lioness is hunting to feed her own cubs, hesitation will mean starvation. Or worse, it will mean the hunt turns against her. Have you ever seen a wild dog hunt? Not the stray dogs that wander human streets, but the painted wolves of the African plains. They are not the strongest predators. They are not the fastest over short distances. A cheetah would outrun them. A leopard would outclimb them. But what the painted wolves lack in individual brilliance, they make up for in something far more dangerous. Communication. They speak to each other in clicks and whines and barks that carry specific meanings. One sound means regroup. Another means flank left. A third, barely audible to human ears, means target is tired. Focus here. They share food not out of generosity but out of strategy. A well-fed pack hunts together. A hungry pack makes mistakes. And in the wild, one mistake can unravel everything. Let us travel north again, but not to the wolves this time. Further north, where the ground is not ground at all, but permafrost so hard it shatters like glass. Here lives the Arctic fox, small and white as a snowflake. It does not hunt in packs. It hunks alone, listening. Beneath the snow, lemmings scurry through tunnels they have carved all winter long. The fox cocks its head. It hears a claw scratch, a shift of tiny weight. Then it leaps. Not forward, but straight up. It arcs through the cold air, nose pointing down, and then it drives headfirst into the snow. When it pulls back, a lemming dangles from its jaws. The fox has no second chance. If it misses, the lemming vanishes into the tunnel maze, and the fox may not eat for days. The Arctic does not forgive wasted energy. In the jungles of South America, the rules change again. Here, the danger comes not from the ground, but from above. Green anacondas coil in murky rivers, their bodies thicker than a man's thigh. They do not chase, they wait. Capybaras come to the water's edge to drink, their large eyes scanning for threats. They see the caimans, they see the jaguars. But the anaconda is hidden beneath the surface, only its nostrils breaking the water like 2 bubbles. The capybara takes 1 step closer, then another. The anaconda does not move. The capybara lowers its head to drink. And in that instant, when the prey is most vulnerable and most distracted, the anaconda erupts from the water. There is no scream. There is no struggle. Just coils wrapping tighter and tighter until breathing becomes impossible. The jungle watches in silence. Then the frogs begin calling again. But perhaps the strangest alliance in all of nature happens not in water or on land, but in the air. Above the savanna, oxpeckers ride on the backs of rhinos and zebras. They pick ticks and parasites from the thick hides of their hosts. The large animals tolerate these small birds because the birds provide a service. But the oxpeckers do something else as well. When danger approaches, when a poacher or a lion draws near, the oxpeckers hiss. A sharp, unmistakable warning. The rhino, with its poor eyesight, hears that sound and knows. It turns, it runs, or it charges. The bird weighs less than a handful of feathers. The rhino weighs more than a ton, and yet in that moment they are equals, each needing the other to survive. Let us go back to the ocean one last time, to the coral reefs at night, when the sun has abandoned the surface and the moon paints everything in shades of silver and black. The sea snakes from our opening story have returned to their dens in the rocks, but other hunters have taken their place. Moray eels, with mouths full of backward-curving teeth, slip between coral branches like nightmares made of muscle. They cannot see well, so they hunt by smell. But they have partners too. Groupers, large and clever, swim alongside the eels. The grouper spots a fish hiding in a crevice too narrow for its own body. It swims to the eel and shakes its head. A signal the eel understands. It slides into the crevice, twisting its long body deeper and deeper until the hiding fish has no choice but to flee. Straight into the waiting mouth of the grouper. They share the meal, not out of kindness, out of efficiency. Two different species with different bodies and different strengths working as one. And what of the newborns we met earlier? The ones who had to run before they could walk? Some of them did not make it. That is the truth the wild never hides. A baby sea turtle hatches beneath the sand. It digs upward with flippers so soft they tear on broken shells. It reaches the surface. The moon reflects off the water, and instinct pulls the tiny turtle toward that light. But between the nest and the sea, crabs wait. Birds wait, ghost crabs with claws that can snip a turtle in half with one motion. The baby turtle runs. It has no other word for what it does. It sprints across the sand, one of 100 identical shadows, all moving toward the same shimmering goal. A crab grabs one. A bird snatches another. Waves wash a third back onto the beach where it will dry out and die. But 4 or 5 or 6 of them reach the water. They disappear into the foam, and for now they are safe. Not because they were the strongest. Not because they were the fastest. But because in the chaos of that first terrible journey, they were just lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time. The wild does not explain itself. It does not offer warnings or second chances. A deer drinks from a river and a crocodile takes it. A seal rests on an ice floe, and a polar bear pulls it into the dark water. A butterfly emerges from its chrysalis, wings still wet and crumpled, and a spider wraps it in silk before it ever tastes the air. This is not cruelty. This is balance. Every death feeds another life. Every hunt, successful or failed, shapes the next generation. There is a moment just before a predator strikes when everything goes still. The wind stops. The insects fall silent. The prey freezes, sensing something it cannot name. That moment stretches like a held breath. And then the explosion. Teeth, claws, blood, sand, water, feathers, fur. The wild does not look away from that moment. It lives in it. If you have made it this far, you have felt something. Maybe it is fear. Maybe it is awe. Maybe it is a quiet understanding that you too are part of this world, not separate from it. Your heart beats. Your lungs pull air. Your eyes track movement. You are an animal too. A clever one, with cities and languages and screens to read these words. But still an animal. Still bound by the same rules. Still capable of forming alliances, of running when you must, of waiting when patience is the only weapon. Echoes of the Wild is not just a story. It is a mirror. Look into it, and you will see yourself reflected in every predator and every prey. You will recognize the mother nudging her child forward, the hunter hesitating at the wrong moment, the newborn taking its first shaking steps toward an uncertain future. This is your story too. It always has been. Stay with us. Subscribe. Return to these echoes again and again, because the wild has no end. It only has new beginnings, hidden in the shadows, waiting for you to find them.